Like most people, I'm vaguely aware that companies which provide online services are gathering information about me. Sometimes I can see this because they personalize their interactions with me. Hi, Tim. Last time you were here, you bought socks. Would you like to buy more socks? Perhaps the most egregious case that I've experienced involved Las Vegas. I know that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but this is a good story. After spending several weeks driving around the West with our German exchange student, we flew back to Michigan from Vegas. Really, we just spent one night there before flying out. But that was enough to trigger months of advertisements for Las Vegas vacation deals. So sometimes you can see it, but most of the time, the data collection which is going on is pretty invisible. And I'm really not sure what they're recording. Just to provide one example, and there are many, let's talk about Google for a minute. Google provides a lot of free online services that personally I find really useful in my life. There's the Google search engine, of course, but also Gmail and Google Maps and Google Docs and Drive and Google Scholar and Google Calendar and Hangouts and much more. So as it turns out, I spend a good fraction of my life in Google tools. What do they know about me? Well, probably a lot. They do make some effort to let me see what they know, and I want to show you how they do that. So let's check out the Google dashboard to get some sense of the scale of what Google knows about me. So I will click on my Google dashboard and we'll go and see what it is that Google knows about us. Here you can see a list of some of the many different things that Google does for me, free services that they provide, and they provide some ways in which I can learn about what it is they know about me. Just to give some sense of this, to give you a first hint of some of the kinds of information that's recorded, I'm going to take a look at the Google location history that I have on the Google dashboard site. So when I click on this location history, you can see that I've turned it on, and I do that because Google provides me with all kinds of information about where to go and how to get there that I find very valuable in my life. So when I click on this location history, first of all, it tells me the last place I've been, which is right here in the studio where I'm recording this right now. It also suggests that I can go to my timeline. When I click on this timeline, it's going to open up a portrait of what Google knows about where I've been and when. So you can see it's a map that includes many different places that I've been and some kind of summary of recent trips that I've taken. I'm just going to pick a random day on this timeline. Let's say last Saturday, October 21st. And I'll click on that and we'll see what Google has to say. Okay. So this is the city of Ann Arbor, and it is Google recording exactly where I was and when on Saturday, October 21st. You can see over here on the left that Google records me riding my bicycle 1.7 miles from my home to the Ann Arbor Farm Market, where I go every Saturday morning to get vegetables and produce. Later on, it shows me driving to the Kroger, where I get things that you can't get at the farm market, and spending some time around my neighborhood at home. It might surprise you to see the extent to which Google understands these things. It knows where I've been, which stores I've been to. It knows whether I was driving or riding a bicycle. It's keeping track of all this kind of information. And that information isn't something that's just available over the last few weeks. It actually runs back years. So if I go up to this timeline and I ask, what does Google know about what I was doing in a time I'm sure I won't remember? Like, let's say, sometime during 2015. I click on 2015 and Google goes to find what it knows about me in 2015. Looks like they have evidence of where I was in every one of the months of this year. Let's take a look at July of 2015. I don't remember what I did in July of 2015, but apparently Google does. So it shows a lot of different places that I might have been. We could look at some particular date. I don't know, let's look at July 23rd, some Thursday. So here's Google showing a typical workday for me, leaving from my home, traveling to the campus, visiting the Department of Astronomy, the LS&A Honors Program, the Undergraduate Science Building, spending some time at Sweetwater's Coffee downtown. It also, you might notice, over here on the side, has begun to pull in pictures taken from my Google photo stream. So I must have been doing something in the Department of Astronomy that day. We could click on that picture and see what it looks like. This is something that was on my chalkboard that day. Google remembers it and has organized it in this way. Not really with me, first of all, in mind. They make this available to me, but the reason that they gather all this information isn't so much to make it available to me. It's so that they can have the richest possible portrait of me. So if you're using things like Google Maps and Google Location Services, this kind of information is being gathered about you. It's being kept by a company like Google, who are using it to try and understand you better, to try and personalize things that they would give to you more, so that they might be able to provide services that you would like. They would be able to keep your attention. They would be able to sell things like advertisements that would help to support the services that they provide. Important to be thinking about what the companies that are gathering data about you will show you, and important for you to be going and looking a little bit and thinking about what does it mean for you that they're gathering this kind of information. How do you feel about that? Is it something that you want? Are the services they provide worth giving up this information to you? What should be done about restricting or controlling the ways in which they might use this information? These are all very reasonable questions to be asking in the information age as we think about what the impact of this kind of data might be for your identity and for your reputation.